Hey, what's up guys? This is our first video for our notes on circles, and we will start with the area and circumference of a circle. But before we do that, since we're starting with circles, I want to go over a couple definitions. Our first definition is for the radius of a circle, and the definition is it is a segment with endpoints at the center and on the circle. Okay, so if you look at this, just a circle that's right to the right, that little segment in there is called a radius. All that matters is that we have one endpoint at the center and one endpoint on anywhere on the circle, like on along the outside of the circle. So then a diameter is just a segment with both endpoints on the circle. That goes through the center. So there's a relationship that we have between radius and diameter, and that is that also, before I say that, I want to say that radius will be denoted with a little r, diameter will be denoted with a little d. So diameter as little d is just equal to 2 times the radius always. So the length of the diameter will always be 2 times the length of the radius. Okay, so now we can get to the area and the circumference. We have a formula for the area of a circle. It is uppercase A, which represents the area, is equal to pi r squared. So pi is just this number, an irrational number that is used in calculations for circles and everything. So it's approximately 3.14, but we're going to be dealing with pi. We probably won't approximate to 3.14. If you want to do pi in your calculator, there's usually a pi button and everything, but we'll get there in a second. Okay, so for circumference is really just like basically what you call the perimeter of a circle, but we call it circumference. There are 2 different formulas for that, one in terms of radius and one in terms of diameter. So the one for radius will have C is equal to 2 pi r. This is the more commonly known formula, but since we know that the radius, 2 times the radius is equal to the diameter, you can also say that circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Either one of those will work. Okay, so some examples. Number 1, find the area. So we're finding the area for circles 1 through 4, and then finding the circumference for circles 5 through 8. So I'm actually going to do 1 and 2, and I'll leave 3 and 4 for you. So number 1, we want to find the area of this circle. We see that the radius of this circle is equal to 12 meters. So to find the area, we just plug into our formula, which is pi r squared. So area is equal to pi times 12 squared, which is 144 pi, which is the exact answer. But for an approximate answer, we're going to round to 2 decimal places. That gives me about 452.39 inches squared. So I'll just square both of those because they're both correct answers. But it's a lot easier to imagine values of like its length and area in terms of an actual number. So that's why we put the approximation as well. But remember to put the inches squared because we are squaring our number here. So that gives us all areas are measured in inches squared or units squared. Okay, that's number one. Number two, right, on this one we're given that the diameter is 18 inches. But when I find the area of a circle, that is in terms of radius. So I need to find the radius, but I know that the diameter is just twice the radius. So I can divide this 18 by 2 and get that the radius is now 9 inches. So plug into our formula for area is pi times 9 squared, 81 pi, because 9 squared is 81, which is approximately 254.47 inches squared. Alright, so number 3 and number 4, very similar to the ones we just did above. I'll let you try those on your own. You're finding the area for 3 and 4. Alright, for 5, 6, 7, and 8, we're finding the circumference. So for this one, we have a radius of 7 millimeters. So the circumference in terms of radius is 2 pi r. So our circumference in this case will be 2 times pi times 7. And I just realized that I completely did not go over how to calculate with pi if we're not just approximating for 3. Anyway, so to find this one, we'll just explain it now. What you're gonna do is to get an actual approximation for this, you're gonna plug in your calculator 14 times pi. There should be a pi button on your calculator. You press 14 and then you put times and then you click the pi button and it will give you an answer, and in this case it's going to give us the circumference to be about 43.98 millimeters. So we're not millimeters squared this time because we are not squaring anything, so we don't have, our units would not be squared. Okay, so I'll leave 6 for you to do. It's just very similar to number 5. Number 7, in this case we're given that the diameter is equal to 58 yards. So using the formula for circumference that deals with diameter, we will just say that the diameter is 58 pi. So the circumference is equal to approximately 182.21 yards. So from there you can do number 8 very similarly as well. Okay, now, so next we're going to be finding radius or diameter given the either circumference or area or something like that, working backwards kind of now. So for number 9, it says find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 65.97. Okay, so I know that there's circumference in terms of diameter is what? Pi times the diameter. So since I know the circumference, I can plug it in right here to be 65.97. Now I've got an equation for diameter and I can solve for diameter. What I'm going to do is divide both sides by pi. So my diameter is just 65.97 divided by pi, and that is equal to 21 meters. So, not too hard, you just have to know which formula to use in this case and everything. So, now we're going to find the radius of a circle with a circumference of 21.99 feet. Very, very similar, but I'll work it out for you. For the radius, the circumference formula with dealing with radius is 2 pi r. So in this case, we'll set 2 pi r equal to whatever the circumference is, which is 21.99. Divide both sides by 2 pi. So r is equal to what? 21.99 over 2 pi. So plug that in your calculator, you get that r is equal to 35 feet, because we're dealing with feet. Only difference with this one was we divided by 2 pi instead of pi, like we did in the first one. Alright, 11. Find the radius of a circle with a circumference. Alright, we'll leave that one for you. Number 12 now. This one's a little different. Find the radius of a circle with an area. So, remember, we know the area formula is in terms of radius. So, we know it's pi r squared. And then we're going to equal that to whatever the actual area is, which is 380.13. Okay, so now to get r by itself, we divide both sides by pi, so we get 380.13 over pi. Do not put this in your calculator just yet, please. Do not, because we have one more step before we find our radius. We take the square root of both sides. So r is just going to be the square root of 380.13 over pi. Now, please put this in your calculator, all this right here. Excuse me. Okay, so once you do that, you'll get that r is equal to 11 inches. Sorry. All right. So next, we want to find the diameter of a circle with an area of 615.75 centimeters. So we know that we can find diameter after we found radius, because in the previous problem we found the radius and then we stopped. That's all what we needed to find. But if we find the radius using the same thing we did in number 12, we can then find the diameter after that, because we know the relationship between diameter and radius. So first step, find the radius. So pi r squared is equal to 615.75. So r squared is equal to 615.75 over pi. And again, we take the square root of both sides, and I get square root of 615.75 over pi. And then that in our calculator will give me 14 centimeters. But I'm not trying to find the radius, I'm trying to find the diameter. And if we remember that the diameter is just equal to 2 times the radius, that's an easy fix there. So diameter is equal to 2 times 14, which is equal to 28 centimeters. That's our answer. So you can go ahead, I'll leave number 14 for you to do, since it is the same as number 13. Alright, number 15. This one we want to find the area of a circle if we know the circumference of the circle. So what we need to do, if we find the radius from the circumference, we can definitely find the area now. So let's do that. So I know that 2 pi r is equal to 26 pi. Okay, that's what we have. So what I want to do is divide both sides by 20. Yeah. So as we see this, I forgot to say we're working between formulas now, but anyway. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. So So I've got that radius is equal to, you know that these pi's are going to cancel, and then 26 over 2 is just 13. So I've got my radius, which is 13. I can plug that into my area formula. So area is equal to pi times 13 squared, which is 169 pi, which is approximately 530.93 feet squared. And that's number 15. A lot of these deal with finding the radius somehow, and then you can find a lot of stuff once you know the radius of a circle. So now we want to do the opposite. We want to find the circumference given the area. So we know that's pi r squared is our formula for area, and that's equal to 289 pi. Divide both sides by pi. I get that r squared is equal to, we know those pi's are going to cancel, so that's going to be equal to 289. If you take the square root of both sides now, square root of 289 is 17. So my radius is 17 millimeters. But I want to find the circumference. So my circumference in terms of radius is 2 pi r. So I plug in my radius now. Put that in my calculator and I'll get about, or let me put my exact answer first, sorry, equals, what is it, 34 pi, which is approximately 106.81 millimeters. Alright, find their circumference with an area. Okay, we've done that, so you can go ahead and do 17. You can do 18, and you can do 19, and you can do 20 as well. All the same based on 15 and 16. And with that, we've come to the end of our lesson on area and circumference. So I've left you with several problems still in the notes themselves, and then you've got even more problems in the homework.